Thank you so much, Mr. Schmerlson. I appreciate the opportunity to discuss an important proposition now on the ballot for California voters, and voting is already happening, so it's really important that our communities know about this. This measure, Prop 50, would allow California to adopt temporary congressional maps if states like Texas pursue extreme partisan gerrymandering. This is an unprecedented ballot measure because these are unprecedented times that we are living in. And this move couldn't be more important to protecting public education and the students and communities that we serve. This resolution is about protecting essential federal resources that make public education possible and standing up and standing with our communities whose voices are often ignored and are active targets in this administration's efforts to deprive our most vulnerable communities of their constitutional rights and of essential resources, including their constitutional right to a public education. So regardless of how you plan to vote, we encourage you to make a plan and make sure you go vote. As a school district, we also have a mission of ensuring our students who are approaching or who have reached voting age know about their voting rights and to ensure that their voices and the voices of our families are heard. With that, I want to thank Dr. Rivas for her partnership and co-sponsorship throughout this effort and urge my colleagues to vote yes on this important resolution so that we can join the broad coalition of labor unions, elected officials, and social justice organizations who are in support of Proposition 50 to stand up to partisan gerrymandering and the Trump administration this November. I'll pass it over to Dr. Rivas if she has introductory comments.
Yes, thank you, Board Member Gomez. I'm thrilled to co-present this resolution today to stand against these continued attacks on our democracy. Actually, Board Member Gomez and I both submitted resolutions on this topic at the same time. We were under the same wavelength here, and we worked together on this language because we believe democracy and public education are inseparable, and both are under attack. When one is weakened, the other falls with it. Proposition 50, the Election Rigging Response Act, is about defending our fair representation when powerful interests are trying to silence communities like ours. Across this country, partisan politicians are redrawing congressional maps to erase the voices of working families, communities of color, and young people. This is not politics as usual. This is a direct threat to democracy. And we're voting on this at a time when the federal government is shut down. Departments are being dismantled, and special education has already been gutted at the federal level. Special education, our most vulnerable students. It's just hard to believe. According to the California Teachers Association, the Trump administration's proposed budget cuts would slash $1.43 billion from LAUSD, including $381 million from student meals, $388 million from low-income supports, and $166 million for students with disabilities. These are life-sustaining programs. The difference between a child learning on a full stomach or going hungry, between receiving essential services or being left behind. This is not normal. These are unprecedented times. People's livelihoods and children's futures are being used as political bargaining chips. If we don't protect fair representation, our schools and our communities will continue to pay the price. Gerrymandering isn't just about elections. It's about who holds power over our students' education, their safety, and their future. Board Member Gomez and I stand united in saying enough. Proposition 50 is how we defend democracy, fair maps, and the constitutional right to public education that serves all children, not just a privileged few. And to every eligible student and family, make a plan to vote on November 4, 2025, because protecting democracy starts with participation. It starts with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rivas. And we also have a representative, Adriana Salazar from Teamsters Local 572, who represents members at our school sites, our SAAs, our plant managers, our cafeteria managers, our bus driver supervisors, to speak in support as labor is an essential part of this partnership.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I have to wear reading glasses now. Proposition 50. Proposition 50 is a definite shift in the way Democrats are approaching power. It's time for us to stop playing by the polite rules of society that we continue to use over and over again, and for us to start playing by the rules that we see on the other side. It is time for us to stand up for the rights of our students and of our community, and that's exactly what Proposition 50 does. But this should not be a Democrat versus Republican vote. This vote should actually be considered an anti-bullying vote, because that's exactly what it is. It is Californians saying no to the bullies in power in Washington. It's Californians saying we know exactly what happened here on June 6th. And just because our streets no longer have reserved armed guards walking them anymore does not mean that this isn't still going on in other states. It's just moved. We need to ensure that every student in California is able to go to school without fear. They should not fear being arrested at school. They should not fear whether they will be deported. They should not fear that mom or dad or abuela or whoever it is that is their caregiver will not be there at the end of their day to make sure that they're fed, that they're clothed, that they're put to bed. Students in California should never, ever fear that when they come home, there will be no one there to receive them. And that's what Proposition 50 does. It takes away that fear. It gives us back that power to say, not in California, not in this state. We hear the slogans, don't mess with Texas, a lot. But I think this is the first time we can say, you've woken the sleeping bear. We are done hibernating, and California is pushing back. So I would encourage every single one of you to join us. Join labor, join community activists, join us on Saturday here in front of Beaudry. There will be a No Kings, Yes on Proposition 50 rally, and it'll start right here, because right here is where the work starts. Right here is where we start protecting students. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Mr. Schmolson, if it's okay with you, could we please hear from our public comment speakers before we do board discussion?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
The next caller is Maria Luisa Palma. Ms. Palma, if you're online, please press *6 to unmute yourself, and you'll have 2 minutes to speak once you begin. Maria Luisa Palma.
Hello, my name is Maria Luisa Palma, and I'm speaking today as an individual, as a resident of Los Angeles, and a taxpayer. Unfortunately, information at this district, information which is clear, transparent, understandable, is lacking, and it is disheartening that here we have yet another missed opportunity to inform the public on impartial facts on this proposition. Board members, I will read to you Education Code 7054, which states, no school district funds, services, supplies, or equipment shall be used for the purpose of urging the support or defeat of any ballot measure or candidate, including but not limited to any candidate for election to the governing board of the district. Nothing in this section shall prohibit the use of any of the public resources described in this subdivision to provide information to the public about the possible effects of any bond issue or other ballot measure, if both of the following conditions are met. The informational activities are otherwise authorized by the Constitution or laws of the state, or if the information provided constitutes a fair and impartial presentation of relevant facts to aid the electorate in reaching an informed judgment regarding the bond issue or ballot measure. That is sorely lacking here today. Your statements in the resolution are explicitly partisan. So I ask you to cite the law if you believe there is a law that exempts you from this law. I have cited. What you are doing today is silencing dissent, discouraging voting, silencing free speech. Don't you want to foster civic discourse? Isn't this one of the underpinnings of democracy? Don't you support that? I request that you abstain on this vote, respect the diversity of thought, the diversity of political persuasion in the citizens, the voting public, the taxpayers, and every resident of this city. Please let us know if you are above the law or if you don't have to meet this law. Either way, it's a bad look.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time. Before we get into board discussion, we need to take the vote on the waiver of Board Rule 72. So can I have a move and a second on that?
I'll move it.
That moved by Ms. Griego, seconded by Ms. Newbill. Ms. Newbill.
Yes.
Dr. Rivas. Mr. Melvoin.
Yes.
Mrs. Griego.
Yes.
Ms. Gomez.
Yes.
Ms. Ortiz-Franklin.
Yes.
Board President Schmerelson.
Yes.
Student Member Yang.
Yes.
Okay, and now I'm moving a second for the underlying reso for discussion.
Move it.
Moved by Ms. Gomez,
Second.
seconded by Board President Schmerelson.
And I'll open it up if any other board members would like to comment.
I
Mr.
would,
Schwarzenegger.
yes, thank you. So I certainly do understand Proposition 50's place in the current time, and that's why it's necessary for it to pass. Lately, it feels like the nation has been met with an unprecedented amount of broken systems in governance and in justice. And while I wish there was more bipartisanship, that is clearly not going to happen anytime soon. Instead, we've resorted to redrawing districts to help maintain some semblance of democratically selected governance. I have always advocated for cooperation across the aisle. However, I cannot stand by and do nothing as others try to consolidate power for themselves and to oppress the rights to represent the public. So, Ms. Gomez, if you would please add me as a co-sponsor, and let's get Prop 50 over the finish line. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm going to be gladly supporting this resolution. I think it's clear that the attacks have been placed on our most vulnerable students, and in fact, our students with disabilities are in under great attack by the current federal government. And that is one reason why I'm highly supportive of this resolution. We've seen it. They're already freezing funds. They're threatening to freeze funds. They just got eliminated, the Department of Education and Special Education in particular. So this is very important. I think it's important that the public understands that the maps that are being proposed are temporary. They're not forever. And then that this proposition is unique and different because it's going to the voters to make this decision. And that is critical for folks to understand. And I know that some of our schools are voting places. And so I think it would be great if we could have a list of the schools that are voting centers. I know for me, it brought me great joy when I was able to bring my students who were ready to vote, to take them to our very own auditorium to go vote. And so it'd be great for all of our staff and our employees to know where these voting places are, as well as our families. So thank you, Kelly, for bringing this forth. Thank you, Dr. Rivas, for supporting this as well and bringing this to us.
Agree, and if I didn't add myself as a co-sponsor, please do. I think we often teach our students to be solutions-oriented, to, when there's a challenge, come up with something that will help make it better, and we put the onus on the next generation. Well, for those of us 18 and up and who have the privilege of being eligible to vote, this is our opportunity to show our young people what it looks like in action. This is about being creative and finding solutions that our community so desperately needs, and so I'm so proud that this board is standing up, as we have for other propositions in the past, Prop 28, Prop 15, things we thought would be good for our community. And so I will be glad to cast my vote before November 4th. Everyone out there, you should have already received it in your mail. And for all of our high school students who will be eligible, I'm very excited. It's a chance to put into practice a resolution we recently passed around high school students having more access to voting or pre-registering to vote if you haven't yet. But thank you so much for bringing this, and I really do hope that most Californians will join us so that we can do what we can in the national landscape, because we know our Angelenos desperately deserve it.
Student Board Member Yang.
Yeah, I think first of all, it's very important to acknowledge that there's a constituency of students for and against Prop 50. I was just having conversations with students yesterday about the precedent that Prop 50 sets regarding gerrymandering, and want to emphasize that this is not and should not be the norm, but in this moment, it's necessary to preserve the democracy that we have. And no matter your views on this ballot measure, it's undeniable that now more than ever, we need to encourage students to be more involved with the democratic process and make informed decisions. Moments like this, when Prop 50 comes to the voters, are historic, and it's so important for students to know what's happening. And regardless of stance, this is an important civics lesson on why voting is so important, and just in general, being aware of national circumstances. For the students out there, this is something to remember and monitor, to keep an eye out for as we continue down this road of experimentation in American democracy. So on behalf of the students and in the interest of democracy, I support this resolution and the message of solidarity that it sends.
Thank you, Jerry. Yeah. Ms. Newbill.
Yes, so appreciative of this, and thank you guys for bringing this forward, especially at a time like this. And what other place than here in the Board of Education that we are educating and continue to bring light and voice to what's appropriate, and to continue to advocate, as mentioned before, the resolution that just passed about our high school students, which I'm very proud to see and know that as Jerry has gone around schools and been able to register many of our students to be able to practice this come November. But this is more than just, I think for us to educate on the fact that there's a term being used here, gerrymandering, and we've known over the years this term has always been flipped and changed and rearranged, and for many people of color to be able to see this term, you often can be ostracized, right, and not wanting to engage. But I want to share that this is an opportunity for us to engage and to be able to dig deeper and to understand exactly what we have before us, and an opportunity to exercise democracy. As we see in many states, that is not the case. Some states, we can just do things how we want to do things. You don't get to vote. And so because we are educating our families and our students that democracy is real and that California stands for that, and that the Board of Education is being a part of that to be able to share the truth of that. And we've seen that in more ways than one. We've seen that in the 14th Amendment, where the term race has often come up and has been flipped on its other side to say race should not be used. And so here we yet again to educate and to continue to bring forth terms that often can at first glance have you shy away. But I too want to be added as a co-sponsor, and I appreciate the opportunity for us to continue to educate our children and to continue to educate our families on what is necessary to be able to be in support of things that help us to open our lens and to be able to dig deeper and to be able to make a stance where we see things are going awry. So thank you for this opportunity. Appreciate it, and I too will be supporting.
Thank you, Charlotte. Anyone else? Okay, Kelly, back to you.
Appreciate the board member Ortiz Franklin raised that the board has in the past taken positions on different ballot measures as a governing body. And of course, as the resolution notes, our efforts at schools are around exercising our right to vote, not around taking a particular position, because I think we're all in support of our students who are voters having that opportunity to cast their ballot, no matter where they cast it. And thank you so much, Board Member Griego, for also raising the real impacts that are at stake for our most vulnerable students. There was also an effort to withhold our funding for our multilingual learners and our immigrant students, as well as proposed significant cuts to IDEA, which supports our students with disabilities, and Title I, which supports our low-income students. So there are very real consequences for public education, in addition to all of the dehumanization, the kidnappings, the direct attacks on our immigrant communities. So thank you all for crystallizing that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gomez. Okay, Mr. McLean?
We will vote. Ms. Newbill?
Yes.
Dr. Rivas?
Yes.
Mr. Melvoin?
Yes.
Ms. Griego?
Yes.
Ms. Gomez?
Yes.
Ms. Ortiz Franklin?
Yes.
Board President Schmerlson?
Yes.
Student Board Member Yang?
Yes.
All right, 7.